Yeah, okay. So listen, it's a bit late in the night. I thought my skin would be a little bit more oily than this. It's been a bit of a day. So, in any case, it doesn't look too bad. Listen, I just want to say, I like the PlayStation 5. I've been enjoying it this whole time. It's been nearly 4 years now. And when I think back about my experience with the PlayStation 5, I can see that I have enjoyed gaming on the PlayStation 5 far more than I thought I would. Um, I know that nowadays there is this movement amongst the pundits, the people that talk about what we talk about, that it's almost like they try to outcompete each other in how much their disdain or the distaste for the PlayStation 5 is, and how far they want to push that. But I don't know. I guess I'll be the contrarian. I really enjoy the PlayStation 5. I really, really do. Um, Playing games on it feels better to me. The DualSense is a massive part of that. But the first thing that you notice is the speed. I think when I was on the PlayStation 4, towards the final year, so towards like 2019, 2018, 2020, something towards that kind of time frame, let's say 2019, just for a simple frame of reference, I always felt like it's gotten slower now. The moment where you pull out your phone and then you start scrolling and it starts stuttering, or you put an input and there's that brief moment of lag, and it's like a precursor to what's to come, and you're like, oof, you've gotten old now. Those are the early warning signs. It happens with everything. I think it's happening in my car right now, but it's just gotten to that point where you're just like, yeah, you're starting to get old. It's about time to think about a replacement. So I wish I still had a piece of paper, but I remember making a list of things I wanted the PlayStation 5 to achieve for me to fully buy into it. And one of the top things was speed. Okay, obviously I could not have predicted the DualSense. That was a wonderful surprise. But I just thought that games should be faster to load. I thought that the system UI should be faster. It should be faster to get just in and out of games. And the PlayStation 5 delivered that with aplomb. I my first experience of opening the PlayStation 5 and turning it on was like, this console tries to get out of your way as quickly as possible to put you back in the game. And that has held true, all the way through to this point. So really enjoying that aspect. Um Playing games at 60 frames per second. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Before I got I guess invested into this side of the conversation, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is, talking about consoles. Not the console war, just talking about consoles. I had no idea what frames per second were in terms of experiencing that on the console. I had it because I've had a PC for a while, but my PCs have traditionally been underpowered. This is the first PC where I could actually do some gaming on it. So I knew that people on PC always cared about frames per second, but that was always a way for I always received it as a way for them to basically gauge the performance of a part, whether that's a CPU or a GPU or RAM or whatever. So I used it, I thought of it more as an analytic tool rather than a tool that actually translated anything to the gaming experience. I always thought it was like, okay, well, if you have a certain GPU that can perform at 79 frames per second, you have another one that can do 129. Well, that gives you a metric that you can gauge the two against. I didn't think in my mind, okay, take that and then translate that into the gaming experience that you will have. Never thought of it back then. So, getting on to this generation, 60 frames per second in most games was not on my bucket list. However, Sony came out with a box for the PS5 that said 4K 120 frames per second. So as soon as they said that, I was like, okay, I want to get a TV that can do 4K at 120 frames per second. So that's what I got. And my idea is that I will only change my TV whenever a new generation of console comes around if they are offering something that the current TV feels far behind. Like, to be honest, I'm not sure if the PlayStation 6 is going to be offering anything that will make me want to upgrade my TV set. I guess they could upgrade like better HDR codecs and everything like that. But honestly, I feel like that's not going to be enough for me to change from the TV that I have now. But yeah, 60 frames per second was a lovely surprise because since I already had a 4K one and 20 frames per second monitor, when I put on 60, I was like, wow, I could feel the smoothness. I could feel how your aiming gets better and everything like that. And for me, the game that truly sold me on it was Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I played Horizon Forbidden West partly before the major graphics update where they basically made all of the modes almost as beautiful as Fidelity mode. But it was after most of the glitches had been solved because at that time I hadn't gotten the TV yet, and I didn't want to experience Horizon Forbidden West on a TV that I thought was substandard. So I actually had no TV in the house at that time. But then when I first put performance versus fidelity in Horizon Forbidden West, there was a stark difference. You really felt like you were trading one for the other, you know, and you could either have the smoothness of the frames or you can have the fidelity, you know, the fidelity of the graphics. Then they did a major update with the whole engine basically on PS5, and that basically brought the performance of the performance mode in terms of graphic fidelity wise to the point where you could barely tell. And then I think that's when they also added the balance mode, which was just a beautiful balance between the two. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, 60 frames per second, pretty much all the way. So that was also a nice surprise with the PS5. A little bit of education there for myself anyway. What else have I enjoyed? I have enjoyed the seamlessness. I alluded to that before about how quickly the console gets in the way. But I found the UI of the PS5 pretty damn intuitive. There's still one or two things that when they don't have it as easily accessible, it really throws you off. Because I find that the PlayStation 5 UI is like really, really good at what it does. And it's clunky at pretty much everything else. If there is a setting that you access frequently, but it's not part of your command center, then you're going to feel that clunkiness as you navigate through menus and sub-menus, and you have to remember that, oh, it's under this menu and not under that one. So that part can be tricky. And for me, the biggest example of this is if you are ever in a position where you want to switch between listening to a game through your home theater speakers or through your soundbar, whatever it is, versus through your headphones, and then you want to choose between having all audio or just the party audio chat coming through those headphones. If you're going to make those changes often, oh my goodness, the process for that is like 7 clicks and it's just way too much. And it's something that was fixed on the PlayStation 4. So on the PlayStation 4, the sidebar, if you plugged in a headphones into your controller, you could choose immediately from the sidebar, the quick access bar, whether you wanted all audio to go to it or just the party audio to go to it. On the PS5, you have to go all the way back into the home screen, all the way through the settings at the top, all the way through the sound menus. You have to plug it in and then you select. It is super cumbersome. And there was a part in my life where I had to like make that change almost daily because my conditions were changing. I wasn't living by myself. So horrible experience. So when people say that they find it clunky, I can understand why, because it's like if you have one or two items that are just not there and they're available, yeah, it can be it can be annoying, and it's super frustrating when they had solved these issues on the PlayStation 4. So when people say that the PlayStation 5 UI feels underbaked, I can definitely see to what they're hinting about. However, for 99% of my playing time, the PlayStation 5 is awesome. In terms of its UI. The one thing that I will say is that cards have still been inconsistent. You know, the cards that pop up and everything, it made major improvements to the trophy card to the point where it's actually useful, but cards can be super inconsistent. Another thing that I love is the trophy help. I really think that this is an undersold feature, okay? The fact that certain games have a video and text and everything showing you what you're supposed to do built into the game, built into your PlayStation 5 UI, the fact that you can snap that to the side of the screen, oh my god, for cleaning up trophies especially, killer lifesaver. Like honestly, it's such a time saver. It's right there. I still think that they should be able to kind of surface those things a little bit faster. For example, if you pin a particular trophy guide video that once built into the game at the side of your screen, you can't just quickly flick over to that panel and like thumb through the next hint or whatever. Like you have to repeat the whole process if you want to go and get another trophy, even if these are kind of like sequential. So imagine that there's a trophy where there's collectibles, maybe there's 10 of them, and then you decide, okay, show me the location of all of them, let me go and get them. Cool, so you have the first trophy video right there. You are not able to then just quickly go to that sidebar and be like, okay, show me the second video, show me the third, show me the fourth. You kind of have to redo the process all over again. That's what I mean by, again, if it is immediately available, it feels seamless. But if it is not, it's like extremely clunky. So I feel like there's no middle ground. It's either really seamless and almost perfect, or it's just like, oh my God, we're in the weeds again. So it has some room for improvement there. Another part that I really love is the audio. I think the audio experience is far above what we had on the PlayStation 4. However, I also upgraded my audio setup at the same time, so I don't have a like for like comparison. But I just think that the audio on the PlayStation 5 is phenomenal. I really, really do enjoy it. One thing though is that the whole 3D audio thing, they say that it's good for headphones and it's good for TV speakers and everything. And I believe them because I've tested those two things and I think they're pretty damn good. But I still don't feel like they have mastered it for home theater speakers. Like, when I try it on headphones, it feels really good. When I try it on TV speakers, that feels magical. That's really, really good there. But when I try it on the 5.1 surround sound, I feel like I'm just getting a 5.1 surround sound codec. I feel like it almost loses that kind of like, wow, I can't believe it. Because you kind of think to yourself, oh, if it sounds good on headphones, and it sounds good with two speakers for the TV, which I use my front, like home theater speakers, like left and right, because I'm not going to listen to TV speakers. Obviously, you shouldn't listen to your TV speakers, but whatever. But when I put those two on, they sound pretty much virtual. It sounds like I'm still hearing like my surround speakers, even though I know I'm just using the two at the front. So that sounds magical. And then you think to yourself, oh wow, if I add even more speakers, this thing is going to be like amazing. And it's like, it's okay. It feels like a 5.1 setup. So yeah, that part has been good. So I think that they need to improve the 3D audio experience. And even when using for headphones, why not they have like this levels thing? And then they're like, oh, pick where the sound sounds closest to you. I'm very confused by that because you acclimatize to all of them. Like if I put it, when you start this on default level 3, and that sounds about right to me, right? Then I move it 2 and it seems like it moves up. But if I just stay there for like a minute, it's really hard to like go back and forth and distinguish the difference. It starts getting really, really small. So I do think that they need to improve whatever that calibration technique is. And I think they have a beta out at the moment that's supposed to help with that. But yeah, I think that 3D audio, it's great, but I think like it's like 60% of the way there. There's still, home theater is still like a big thing. And I understand that there's many home theater configurations, but it's like, bro, let me configure what my home theater look like. Like you can do that to a certain degree, but you don't have as many configurations as you will need. And again, I feel like it's more using multi-channel processing than a true like 3D effect, like the way that Sony 360 reality audio is supposed to be when it comes to like the Brave Theater Quad or something on the home theater front. So room for improvement when it comes to 3D audio when you are not just using your TV speakers or your headphones. But aside from that, the audio, phenomenal. And while I have some kind of grievances, I suppose, with the fact that the 5.1 setup just seems like a standard 5.1, it's still a phenomenal mix. So yeah, really enjoying that. I enjoy the games that have come out on the PlayStation 5. There's so many games that have come out for the PlayStation 5 that are not for me and that are so revered by people. And I love that. I love that there are games that are completely not for me, but people love them. Games like Demon's Souls, Elden Ring, all of these phenomenal games that gamers have access to in this generation. I think this is the best generation of gaming. I don't understand. I guess people are nostalgic for what they had before, and some of them have good reason to be. There were more players in the console space before. Sega, Dreamcast, all of these other people, Atari at some point. But I'm not of that generation, so I don't feel nostalgia for retro games right now. Some people also talk about like the 360 and the PS3 generation, but I'm sorry, guys. Like I was there for those games. Like I had the PS3. I wasn't happy. Like a lot of games just didn't make sense. The control schemes in those games, man. Like you press triangle to jump and you will shoot with square and you just everybody was kind of the Wild West. There was no standardization, you know? It felt like every single game had like its own completely different philosophy and design language, whether it was a shooter or an action adventure. You know, balance beams were a thing. Oh god, games that they just didn't have the refined moment, the refined quality that they have now. And I really like that refinement. And in fact, I feel like our games are not refined enough. You know, there's still more work to be there, to be done there. Sorry. But I really enjoyed that. The Portal. Oh man, I love my Portal now. I was such a Portal hater back in the day when I first on the here heard about it. But when it came out, by the time that it came out, I had a better idea of what it was. And then I pictured myself in certain situations and be like, oh, that could be useful. Admittedly, I can tell you 99% of my playtime is at home, okay? And I would say about 70% of it, no, 80% of it is in my bedroom away from the TV. And about 20% is literally in the lounge room in front of the TV. And the thing to explain there is that sometimes it's really good to watch a show or a YouTube video, something else in the background while you're playing a fairly easy light game that doesn't require all of your attention on the Portal. So I really enjoy the Portal now. But then as I think about, you know, living with another partner and be able to play next to them and everything like that, it's just really great, you know. I don't have much calls to use my Portal outside, but I've tested it. It works away from your home Wi-Fi. It's good. It's a good device. It's not a perfect device, and it's not a device that all of us would rather that it was, you know, like we all would rather that it played games natively, at least some games, but that isn't what it is. So let's just look at it for what it is, what it delivers, and I think it's a phenomenal remote play experience, the best remote play experience that you can get on this side of the house anyway. So I really enjoyed the Portal. The Dualsense Edge controller. Oh my goodness. Talk about things that save you from bad control schemes. I was trying to play Evil West the other day, and I think they had like dodge on X. I hate games that put dodge on X. I don't want to dodge with X. I want to dodge with circle. Why? Because God of War dodges with circle, and I like that. I just find it a lot more intuitive to dodge with circle than to dodge with X. Now I can make up for those fronts because I can use the two back paddles and I can just dodge with the back paddle. That just makes it a lot easier, you know. So I can fix, you know, quote unquote fix or make up for those control schemes. The only thing about that is that when I get back to the Portal, it doesn't have the extra two buttons at the back. So PlayStation Portal Pro, please, based it on the DualSense Edge controller, call it the Portal Edge, you know. PlayStation Edge of the Portal. Put the extra back controllers in there so that I can also make up for games that way in case I decide to take it on the go. But yeah, really enjoyed the DualSense Edge controller. What other accessories have come for it? Oh, the fact that it uses a standardized storage bay. I have 2 extra terabytes in my PlayStation 5. And I have 1 terabyte hooked to the back for PlayStation 4 games, and it's an SSD. But I really like the fact that the internal storage that you can add is just standardized. That has brought prices down tremendously. And it means that as the generation goes on, you can just more and more easily afford to keep more games stored. Since I bought my PlayStation 5, I upgraded my internet, thankfully. Oh my goodness. Australian internet, not great. Now that I've upgraded it, slightly better. But I still kind of value the fact, the immediacy of being like, oh, I have lots of storage on hand. I can just keep these games because on a one-off that a friend comes over and it's like, oh, let's play that game. I don't have to wait 20, 25 minutes to download it depending on the size or whatever, you know. It will just be there. It will be available. I really like that. And also, I think an undersold feature, something that is not appreciated enough, is that when you are done using the PlayStation 5 and it's time for you to kind of meet its fate and you go to your uncle's house or your brother's house or you sell it or whatever, you can keep that drive and you can put it in your PC. You can put it in your other devices. You can put it in your laptop. It is a universal drive. It is not proprietary to the console. So your money isn't lost. You can just keep on using it, you know, because while it is fast enough for the PlayStation 5, it's like just as fast, if not faster, than the drives you would have on your PC nowadays or you would have on your laptop. So you would just keep on using it and it will serve you well for like the next 10 years because all of these SSD drives are super reliable nowadays. You could keep it for the next 20 years. And even depending on what Sony does, of course, they could push up the performance and the requirements for the PlayStation 6. But if they keep it the same, you could use it on your PlayStation 6. That's good. There's good to have that flexibility that you're not tied down, that you haven't lost whatever investment you made on purchasing that drive in the first place. Or you could sell the drive off separately, whatever it is. So I really do appreciate that. I don't know. I feel like I really enjoy the PlayStation 5. And nowadays I find that the discourse around the PlayStation 5, like I said earlier, it feels so... I'm so disconnected from it because I just hear people complain and they're just jaded. And most of the grievances lies with the fact that they are not shown a showcase that features a lot of first-party Sony games because that's what they have to do in order to discount the goodness that we've received this generation. They need to point at the fact that Sony hasn't released apparently enough first-party games, even though when you list the list, it is again one of the most sterling generations that we've ever had when it comes from a first-party output, because that wasn't there during the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 3, I mean, come on, those games were not the games that put Sony on the map, And then the PlayStation 4 only got that first-party prestige towards the end, again, we're kind of in the Uncharted 4 kind of stage right now, so it's great. And then we got Horizon and Spider-Man and Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima, and that was also the back half. And I feel like people take that energy and they're like, yeah, that's what we want. And I get that and I sympathize with that. But at the same time, while I wish for the same, it doesn't make me jaded. It doesn't make me angry with what I've gotten so far. I suppose a big one to discuss is PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus, I think, has objectively gotten better, at least for me, because PlayStation Now, that's a US thing, or at least that was a US thing. We didn't have an equivalent of PlayStation Now in Australia. So having access to a massive catalog of hundreds of games and everything, that wasn't a part of the offering over here. So that's what I mean by it has objectively gotten better for me, because it gives me essential, then it brought in the PlayStation Now replacement tiers with extra, and over here it's deluxe because we don't get access to cloud streaming. So those three options are better for me because it gives me more access if I want to. However, the price increase, that definitely reduced the value proposition. Now, my PlayStation Plus was pretty much added up to already go to 2025, so I haven't had to wrestle with the implications of that price increase. That's something that I will do at that time. But even then, I really do enjoy PlayStation Plus. I really enjoy PlayStation Plus Essential the most because it gives me games, 36 games per year at the moment, over the course of 12 months. But those games are then forever tied to my personal kind of account, So once they are in that collection and once I claim them, I don't have to rush to get to them, which sometimes you have to do with certain games that go to the extra catalog. For example, if you take Red Dead Redemption 2, I think that game has been in and out a few times by now because, they can only, I guess, pay so much for a Rockstar game license. So that's fair enough, but I do enjoy Essential. And by now, my PlayStation Essential collection, I think I'm like 200 plus games. That again, like I said, I'm married to my account, so at least I can take my time exploring them and loving them and everything like that. So PlayStation Plus, at the moment, I think I would rate it a 7 out of 10. Again, it has more kind of offerings than it did before, but it was like a 9, pretty much. It was a 9 out of 10 service before the price range. And now I feel like it's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 kind of service because, man, that price raise was steep. I don't care if it had been a long time before they did it, but it was a steep price raise, bro. Like 40% higher. That was crazy. So, like I said, we'll have to wrestle with that reality when my PlayStation Plus is about to expire, and it should expire on December 2025. So we'll know then exactly how I feel about it. For the moment, I'm just kind of riding the coattails of earlier good financial decisions. Man, I really wish I had the financial bandwidth earlier to be able to like push it to like 2035, because that would have been clutch. So there we go. What else is there to say about the PlayStation 5? I've enjoyed the games on it, man. I really, really have. Like, I think I talked about the console specifically, but like I said, we've had phenomenal games, haven't we? We've had great games from third party, from second party exclusives, from first party exclusives. I've had a grand time, man. I've enjoyed playing on this console. Just the act of gaming on it, it just feels like a great gamer's console, man. Like, it is so focused on the gaming aspect. I barely ever use the media tab on the PlayStation. Obviously, that's just because I have a smart TV whose interface I like. So I don't really need to go use YouTube or Netflix on the PlayStation itself, though it is good at that. I like this 3D Blu-ray, no, not 3D Blu-ray, but it's actual physical Blu-ray performance for movies. I think it's a pretty damn good Blu-ray player, even though other people have told me that, hey, listen, if you buy a fairly expensive, usually just as expensive as the PlayStation 5 itself, but an actual separate Blu-ray that is that expensive, you can decode more and things and everything like that. And you know what? I accept it. If I was in a place where I wanted yet another device to crowd up my entertainment center, I would see the point in purchasing a dedicated Blu-ray, player and everything like that. But I am not at that point, and I do not want that thing. So I really like the performance of what the PlayStation 5 brings you. And I like the fact that my Sony remote, because I have a Sony TV, but I think it works with just the HDMI link, the CEC. So the HDMI CEC allows you to control a lot of the functions of the PlayStation 5 when you're watching a movie through your TV remote. So you don't even have to buy like the PlayStation specific movie remote that they sell. So that's it. That's all there is to say. I wanted to make this a short video, and I managed to turn it into a half-hour video instead. Isn't that fascinating? I could have just come out and said like, hi, I enjoyed the PlayStation 5. That's all. But then apparently I had to waffle on. So let me know what you guys think about the PlayStation 5. Are you enjoying it? Are you kind of tired of it? Do all of these showcases mean a lot to you, where you're just like, oh, Sony, give me a showcase, Or are you kind of more like, hey, I'm enjoying this experience thus far. I would like a showcase. I would appreciate it very much, but so far, so good. Or do you just completely hate it and you wish that you had never chosen it over another option like PC, Xbox, Switch, mobile phone gaming, Fire Sticks, like whatever floats your boat. It seems now like everything, like your laundry machine soon will give you a gaming option. Netflix already has like games on the subscription, right? So it's like soon everything. You pick up a sock and there'll be a game on it. But in the meantime, people like myself, I think we have served pretty well by our console. Let me know what you say. Just go ahead. No need to console war. No need to hate on another platform or whatever. Just what's your experience of the PlayStation 5 if you have one? And if you don't have one, I want to hear from you even more. Are you waiting for something? Is there a game that hasn't yet sold you? Or maybe you're like, hey, that PlayStation 5 Pro, that is looking really appealing over the horizon. Or are you just like, you know what? I'm skipping this. I am skipping it. I'm skipping this generation, going straight to the PlayStation 6. Let me know. I actually want to hear more from people who don't have the PlayStation 5 or who don't like the PlayStation 5 than I want to hear from people that just agree with me. Because, hey, no offense to people that agree with me, but we're just going to be preaching to the choir. I always think that there's a good amount to learn from people who don't agree and who want to go, I guess, against the grain. So, let me know.